trucking on. I'm trucking on. Move her on down the line. Another town will do me fine. I'm trucking on. I'm trucking on.
Rich Young Jr., welcome to Truckin' On.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, brother.
I'm a P1 on this show.
Really?
I probably listen to 90% of your episodes.
That is so awesome to hear, and I did not realize that.
Yeah.
And
I think I learned about it, maybe it was when Jeremy was on, and I kind of went back and looked at older videos and stuff. I'm always looking for something to listen to in the morning. So my wife knows your voice. She actually knows Jeremy's too from The Industrialist as well. So
that's so funny. Someone was telling me, talking about how many listeners you have, and I was like, well, here are the figures, how many downloads I get, and probably plus or minus 1,000 or something, which to me sounds good. If I tell that to somebody that's considering starting a podcast, they're like, no, I need to have 100,000 listeners. That seems insane, 100,000 people listening. But this friend of mine, she was like, well, you also have to count the wives of the people that are listening.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
so you have 2,000
true.
Listeners.
Yeah, there you go.
Or 1,500 or something
like that. It could be. That's pretty cool. We're in my new studio.
I love it.
I told you when you walked in, I feel like you were one of the people, many people actually, but my friends that gave me the nudge, dude, go for this. Cause I was in a really cool house and it was smaller. I got it after I got divorced and I was living a modest lifestyle and debt free on it and all of these things. And then this house popped up and I just I kept looking at it and it kept sitting on the market and I don't know, should I, do I want to move? But it's so cool. But now we're here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it. It's
an awesome house. And I remember, so you and I actually just met really for the first time in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then we went to breakfast and I didn't tell you, I almost missed my flight after it. Cause I kind of figured it was going to be, we're like, hey, let's go grab coffee. And then we did a buffet breakfast and we were there for 2 hours. And I lost track of time. And JSX is the greatest thing ever, by the way.
The best.
I will never, if I can, will always try to fly JSX.
That's the first time I ever flew JSX was that trip. I wasn't on the same flight as you. I left the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had, heard your name and heard that you did cold plunges. Someone's like, Rich Young does cold plunges. Do you know him? I was like, I don't. And your name's so familiar, but I think it's familiar. It may be familiar really because of your dad.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm not working the market as a street broker, so I'm not interfacing a lot with local brokers, period, just as my business is not like that. But when I started, I was, and then that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So...
and you worked Brook Hollow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think my dad worked into Brook Hollow as well. He was working 35 corridor, so.
There were signs there that I was tracking at Robert Lynn,
yeah,
for sure. And anyway, then I think David Gwynn put us on a text chain together.
Yeah.
For some reason.
There's never a reason for it, but there's always a reason with Gwen.
Yeah, and... anyway, then we met in Vegas and hit it off, man. I consider you to be a very close friend, and we've known each other for 2 months.
I know, it was wild because so I was flying back early that day because it was an end of year party for my son. He was graduating pre-K 3.
Oh yeah,
and so it was important for me to get back. I wanted to be there for it, and my wife really wanted me to be there, and so. Were we at Caesars or Cosmo or something? So I took an Uber from Cosmo and I was like, holy shit. My flight was leaving in 13 minutes.
When you left the Cosmo.
Yes,
yeah.
When I got in the Uber. So I called my wife. I was like, I'm looking at flights. Like, I'm not going to make it. Like, there's no way. And she's like, what's JSX? Just try. Walked in. I actually run in. I was like, hey, did I miss the flight? They're like, go get a latte. There's some cookies over there. I was like, I literally walked in, I think 6 minutes before my flight. And I was like, I'm flying this the rest of my life. I think that's the first time, like JSX and then flying private. I have a buddy as a plane. I was like, you got to become wealthy because that's the way to travel.
Oh, yeah. Man, I love it. And the Vegas airport arriving is great. Leaving is the worst airport.
It's depressing.
Ever. Yeah, I have horrible memories there. And to avoid that is a true blessing. Yeah, that's the only time I have flown GSX, but I go to Miami a lot, so I'm going to start doing it there. I just haven't had to book a trip since that one, but yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's here in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I think it's headquartered here.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're pretty lucky. So you're making me look like a super casual real estate broker today wearing your suit. And I commented on that, and I said, you own your own company, so you can dress like me if you want.
Yeah.
But I want to know why you don't.
So when I got in the business, I was like a golf polo guy. In slacks. It was actually always a Kirkland brand. Golf polo and slacks, the Costco. I'm a Costco slut.
Yeah.
And so I did a deal. I remember it was an office deal on the tollway. And this was when it was just like my dad and I, maybe Andy Fulmer was with us at the time, but we were really small. And my dad was in the office, and a broker came by and dropped off a commission check for a deal I did. And he was wearing a suit and tie. And I don't remember what firm he was with, and I don't really 100% remember the deal. But I got back, and my dad's telling me, he's like, this kid, he was wearing a suit and tie, he looked pretty good. I was like, yeah. What do you mean? He's like, well, I asked him if he thought if it helped him, and he said he didn't think it hurt him. He's like, maybe you should try a suit and tie. And he's like, I did it for 20 years. He had all these crazy ties. I remember it. And I was like,
he had stopped by that point.
Yeah, he wore a jacket every day.
Yeah.
My dad had one arm, so like he tried to hide, the arm kind of to blend in a little bit. He lost his arm when he was 10. That's another story. We can get into that. But
yeah.
So I wore a suit and tie the following day, and I had a meeting with the guy, gave me the business, and I was like, maybe we should try this again. So started doing it. I've done it pretty consistently for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years now. That was about a year in. So maybe we actually just had our 10-year company anniversary yesterday. So it's been a little while, and now I wear a golf polo on Fridays. And I mean, this summer's been pretty hot for me. Dude. So like I've been wearing little polos more, but it's kind of interesting. Like clients that I've had who are good friends of mine, they're like, hey, where's the tie when I come in with a polo? So it's kind of a calling card.
Steve Tracy's like that.
Stud.
He is such a stud. He always is dressed to the nines.
Yeah. And
if he wasn't, it would be weird.
If
I saw him in a golf shirt, I'd be weirded out by it. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Exactly.
Not even on a Friday.
I remember I was bitching about a broker who's still in the industry because he was like, he's a monster in the market that I work. And I was talking to, do you know Stephen Williamson?
Yeah.
He's a very good friend of mine. And I was bitching to him about this broker. I was like, this guy's everywhere. He's like a ghost. And I went to Stone Lake dinner, and I got sat, and he's like, don't worry. He's a little older. He's going to retire soon, right? I remember Steven told me that. Go to Stone Lake dinner. I sit next to Steve Tracy, 6'3", 6'4", SEC offensive lineman, smart, super smart guy, controls the room. I was like, I remember asking him, this is probably 7 or 8 years ago. I was like, how old are you? He's like, I'm, 38, 39. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to have to deal with this dude for 25 years now.
That's right.
I called Steven. I was like, we got some other monsters that we have to deal with in this industry. He's one of them. He's a great guy, though.
He is. I need to get him on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like always dress down. Too casual where I get uncomfortable sometimes because I'm so casual at certain events.
What's your calling card?
It is kind of my calling card. But when I wear a suit, I get so many compliments. Like, oh my God, look at you. Like, you look so good. Which is really like maybe like if I go to a gala or something, you know, that's like black tie, I will put on a tuxedo.
You go for
like
it,
I'm going to just like wear black tie to a black tie event for sure. And I get so many compliments, but I still like, I think I just like love the comfort so much that I have to like talk myself. Today I went to lunch at the Swexen.
Yeah, I was actually just on the phone with George.
Yeah, you know who I went with, George Billingsley. He has lunch there every day, I think.
I love George.
I do too. He was one of my first guests on this podcast, and I was talking to him about doing it again.
He's a great guy. Very different than basically anyone that I grew up around, and extremely humble, and he's awesome to do business with. I
love doing deals with him. Right on. So yeah, I do. I have only recently met you, so I'm excited today. I don't know your whole story. So let's start from your childhood. And I like to start ages 12 to 22.
Okay.
So feel free to start before that if needed. Yeah. But like, just like what happened and what were some big memories that might have shaped you into who you are today?
Yeah. So I grew up North Dallas, technically Plano schools. I went kindergarten through 12th grade out that way. I'd say pretty typical, like normal suburban life growing up. 2 older sisters. They both went to Ursuline. They're 6 years and 4 years older. I was telling you, one of my sisters lives down the street. My other sister lives in San Francisco. My mom and dad, my dad was in the industry in real estate. He was a broker for, 39 years until he passed away. And so, I mean, I was kind of just one of those guys that was hopping around doing whatever I could. I was kind of entrepreneurial early on. When starting, I know as you said 12, but like when I was 6 years old, I did basically a lemonade stand for like 3 years on my street. So
really,
yeah, I never made any money on it, but I learned to kind of sell people as they were driving down the street. And
like through the summertime, basically,
like through the year.
Oh, so 3 years straight.
Yeah, like it's kind of a problem. And I remember when I stopped, my mom came to me and she goes, well, here's the deal is we're selling Kool-Aid. You're selling all this Kool-Aid, and but I'm paying for it. And, if there's expenses to running a business. It's like, so I tried that, I paid for the Kool-Aid out of the profits, right? Well, then you're not making as much money. I was like, oh, this game doesn't work as well. So kind of moved on from that. And then I washed a lot of people's windows, and then we started a company called the Young and Able Pet Service. And so I went door to door, which is hilarious now knowing what my job is, and pass out flyers to go watch people's animals during the summer or whatnot. But people that are going to trust like a 12-year-old to go into their house and watch their loved animals are typically they have a couple screws loose, or they have a ton of animals. And so I was watching like poisonous frogs, snakes. I had to wrangle a snake that got out. No. It was like like a black snake that they kept calling it the mean snake. I had to chase dogs when pool people would let their, leave the door open. I would have to chase them down. So I did that for a long time. And then, just kind of like a lot of the people that have been on this podcast, I got into sports. I played pretty much every sport that I could. I thought I was a pretty good basketball player. And turns out, and I was just subpar, pretty slow white guy.
What are you, 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm like 6'5", 6'6", but I'm a slow white guy that doesn't have any athleticism and is not a great shooter. That's really not like a, recipe for success on the next level. Probably was a better football player, but basketball was my passion. So I kind of kicked football to the curb and focused on basketball, and went to Plano West, and I basically went through the whole public school realm. which I enjoyed. I mean, some of my best friends today are guys that like I've known since birth or kindergarten, and we're just really tight knit and basically family on that stuff. So then I went off to what I call as the Harvard of the South, University of Oklahoma in Norman. And I went up there, had a great time, met a bunch of people that I'm actually going to Colorado on Friday to see a bunch of my fraternity brothers. Luke Davis, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He's a stream. He's a pledge brother of mine.
Cool.
He's in the industry. And so had a great experience there.
What fraternity?
I was a Lambda Chi.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, like I would say a majority of my life up until that point, I kind of cruised through things. I didn't have a lot of trials and tribulations, but I didn't really have a lot that was kind of pushing me. And then when I graduated, I went to go work at Ernst & Young. And I was on, call it the consulting side. I did process improvement stuff for them, basically middle market manufacturing throughout the Midwest. And that's where I learned kind of a work ethic. So that's
what's that like when you go to Ernst & Young out of college?
Absolute meat grinder. I mean, truly, like the people that the people there are some of the smartest people that I've ever been around. Because they sponsor some visas. So like we had some guys from India that actually one of the guys he's a partner. He lives down the street over here. Another partner of ours was from Brazil. And so these people come and they just have crazy work ethics because they have chips on their shoulder that's, hey, we got to go make it here. And so I didn't really know what, I definitely wasn't the smartest. But I knew that I could kind of navigate my way through customers and clients and then kind of work my way up with kind of the partnership strategy. But what I found out early on is basically everyone there valued work ethic. And so, I mean, I was working 100-hour weeks basically day one. And that wasn't necessarily billable hours, but I was there before it was like the whole structure of all shit rolls downhill. And I was, the newest person there. So my first project was actually in Pasadena, Texas. It was at a chemical plant. And the guy who was running it, he was like he was a manager, and he lived on the other side of Houston. He's like, hey, I want to reverse traffic this stuff. So I get in at 4. And I was like, well, I need to get in at 3:55. So I started getting in at 3:50. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of in the middle of a room, just kind of getting my butt kicked on a lot of this stuff. Yeah. And then he would leave at 8:30 at night, and so I would leave at 8:31, right? And that was kind of the game. And then my next project with him was at Perot Systems in Plano. And my manager on it, she wanted to like make a name for herself. And she's like, hey, I get in at 5. You don't have to get in at 5, but that's what I do. And I was like,
this is insane, by the way.
It was honestly
crazy.
Because like my first 2 projects were with kind of crazy people. I mean, they were like, hey, she wanted to go be elevated at the firm. The other guy just wanted to get back to his family. So he was like, hey, I'll just miss the morning time and I'll be there for the nighttime. She was like, hey, I want to get promoted. And so this is how I'm going to do it. So she was getting there at 5. I would actually stay at my parents'. I was living in Uptown, and I was like, I'm going to stay at my parents' so I can pick up an extra 12 minutes of sleep a day. And so we do that. We do like 5, and there's another senior manager there that she worked late. So she's like, we're going to beat Holly to the office, and we're going to stay after Holly. Holly would come up to our desk every single day and be like, hey, why don't you guys get out of here? And the girl's name was Allie Simpson, who became a very good friend of mine. She's like, no, I think we're good. And so she would just wait until Holly would leave. So we were working like 5 to 10 every single day. But, it's kind of one of those things like you start putting in the time, and so you learn a lot quicker because you kind of have to, because the time extrapolates on top of each other. So then I went to a couple other projects, and then I had some guy out of Houston who was.
Were you single during all of this?
I was single.
Yeah.
Near the end, I had met my now wife, and I mean, listening to her kind of talk about that timeline was just like, it's nuts. Like,
And so you were working like that when you met your wife.
yeah, absolutely. And I was like a weekend warrior type deal. I was working near the end because I was there for 3 years, but near the end I was running a team in Dallas and in India because they had kind of global talent hub on that stuff. And so I was getting up in the middle of the night to kind of lead projects that needed to go and then go back to sleep. And everything was a haze. And then you go out and get as hammered as you can and then just go do it the following week. Right. So,
yeah.
And I was traveling, Sturtevant, Wisconsin, Hastings, Nebraska, these places that you've never been on prop planes. I took a bus 9 hours from Phoenix. I took a flight to Phoenix and a bus 9 hours into Mexico because there's a plant that only had one flight in, one flight out a week, and it was on Tuesday and a Thursday, and I needed to be there Sunday to Wednesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday, and I needed to be there Sunday to Wednesday. I almost got fired for that because I guess that bus route had been hit up by the cartel a few times. I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, very, white collar kind of work that you're doing on that stuff. But I was going into these manufacturing plants and talking to the operators, which is no different than what I kind of do now.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find, inefficiencies that typically the people on the floor knew. They knew what it was. Just
they're going to know.
Senior
right?
management just never took it, or it never got moved all the way up the ladder on that stuff. So it was an incredible experience for me. And I know a lot of people that have worked it, they kind of get burnt out on that. And so they have negative experience on it. I think I got out like the perfect time.
Yeah. If you had stayed for 10 years, then
I think if I stayed for an additional 10 days, it probably wouldn't have worked, right?
3 years was the magic number.
It was perfect
it's
for
like
me.
an MBA, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like at Harvard. or times two.
Well, not the Harvard of the South.
Not the Harvard of the South. Man, that's intense.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that. I was a weekday warrior.
Well, but if you go into it and you kind of think that's what the work, your working life is, it's kind of is what it is.
I was such a little bitch. My first job, I worked for Faubert Commercial, and two of the best guys, Todd Faubert and Rick Curry. I don't know if you've ever met them.
I know Rick.
Yeah. And I had to be there at 8:30 and stay till 5:30. And I was just like, Rick's like, you should get in early and stay late to impress Mr. Faubert. And I was like, what? Why?
Yeah.
But I only have to be here 8:30 to 5:30. Good. Yeah. Like, I'm done at 5:30. And I had a salary plus bonus, and deals that I got done. But, I was not good at working in an office ever. Still not.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't have done it. I had friends that were investment bankers, and that's like being an investment banker. And, I think it's the same, but probably like more hazing and stuff, like from what I've heard. But that's super impressive. And I would think that crash course in life, like getting into being a commercial real estate and industrial broker too, being able to speak that language and know the operation side of businesses like that's huge.
Oh, I think it's been very valuable. I think that the biggest advantage on doing that stuff is that, I wasn't making very much money either. That's kind of a big general term that you see, and especially in real estate, it's like you gotta have to be lean for a while and then you can start making money down the line, right? I was working, call it 105-hour weeks, and I was making $50,000 a year.
Really?
Yeah. And so, but when you're 23, 24, 25 years old, you kind of, and I was on a per diem, I would get, $20 for a lunch. And I was like, man, I can get awesome. Get guacamole at Chipotle. I can afford that. Right. So it was a really good experience, but it also opened your eyes to be like, hey man, like, there's the other side of the coin where there are people that are working like this, and that's all I knew, so I, then evolved into real estate right after that. And so,
did you know, so after, like, when you decided to leave that job, did you consider anything else, or was it always I'm going into commercial real estate?
No, so I grew up, like when there's kids out there and they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a firefighter, astronaut? I always wanted to be a commercial real estate agent.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's papers that I had when I was in school. That's what I wanted to be. And, my dad was at Lucas for 30 plus years, and I would go up there, and that's what I wanted to do. But I went to college in 07, 08 hit. I'm starting to pick my major. He's like, go into business, but like real estate's not a good time. So I wanted to go into something was more stable.
Yeah.
And so I was a finance, accounting, and international major, so a triple major. And so I got out. I wanted to go kind of maybe the banking route. Consulting kind of felt safe because I could pivot into it. And but it was always in the back of my mind that that's what I wanted to do.
So you made $50K a year the whole first 3 years?
So first year I made 50. I got like a 7% increase of 50. I think I ended at 56, 8 or 57 total.
When do you make that jump there? Like, what's that trajectory doing consulting at a firm like that? Like, you're making 50 for your first, like, to 100 your first 5 years, and then
Well, I remember. So
assuming you make it to 100 by 5 years in, or
you don't.
No,
you don't. And that was a big thing. My sister.
I thought consultants made like $80,000 when I was out of college.
Maybe the ones out of Brown.
Yeah,
but
that's probably true. New York
right?
City.
Yeah. So, my sister is one of the brightest people I know. She went to Duke undergrad, Northwestern MBA, and she was doing executive headhunting in LA. And at the time, I think that's when maybe Obama was in office, and like they had some, call it, I think it was contract labor was big on that time. So like selling into people that could do tech work or whatever it is, like there was really good margins on that. And so my other sister was in San Francisco. My oldest sister was in LA. They're like, hey, go try to get into kind of whatever tech staffing. And so I kind of looked at it, but I was dating my now wife, and like it didn't make a ton of sense. We talked about maybe moving to New Zealand and doing, the kind of fairy tale type stuff. And then my sister goes, hey, if you don't have a pathway to making $100,000 a year by the time you're 30, then you need to make a change. I think I was 25 at the time when she told me this. And I ran the numbers, and I was like, I'll be at $92,000 a year by the time I'm 30.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I called her, and I was like, hey, I ran the numbers. I think conservative 10% raises, compounding. And she's like, well, I think you answered your question. And I was like, didn't you pose the question? Like, you're the one that asked the question. But it really got my mind turning. And about that time, my dad actually was turning 60. And I was at my mom and dad's house for breakfast once, and I was talking to my mom, and she's like, you should really get into commercial, because I wanted to go into the sales side. So the operation side and what I was doing at EY was great, and it was really good for me because it built process and structure and all these things that I really didn't have before, and big work ethic. But I was more of a sales guy. Like I always envisioned myself selling something, right?
Right.
But I never had that other stuff that I feel makes you really like an elite salesperson, because you're really good at servicing customers and doing that end of things. So I looked at the BD side at EY, and they said, well, the only thing is you'll take a pay cut. I was like, what do you mean a pay cut? Like, if you're selling the services, shouldn't you make more money? And they're like, well, the partners really, that's where it is. And I think that's, to your point, is where they start making really good money, is when you're a executive director or partner or principal over there. That's where you start making really good money. And I mean, it's a pretty sweet gig once you get there. It's mandatory retirement at, I think, like 60 or 59. I mean, I invested in the pension. I'll be paid out when I turn 60 for the balance of my life, like I think $28,000 a year or something like that. It's kind of a sweet gig.
Yeah.
But people that pay in more to it, obviously that increases significantly. And so I was sitting down with my mom. She's like, you should talk to Dad about, going to real estate. And so it was his 60th birthday, and it was a surprise birthday, actually. I think it's like a 10 cellar wine or something.
Yeah, times 10 cellar.
Yeah, so we did it, and we were having a drink, and he's like, hey, actually there might be a path on this thing. The long-term customer of his kind of wanted to make a change, wanted him to go. He's like, but he wanted to have a succession plan. And so he's like, let's go to lunch. And so we went to lunch with him, and he's like, I'm 60 and trying to figure out what the next path is. And he's like, well, if you left, we would give you kind of a small bay portfolio to, with your son. Right. So I was like all in, like I put I started taking my real estate courses, and, I gave notice at EY.
That had to have been really exciting
it was amazing
because you knew like this world is going to be over.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it was crazy because I was working in Las Colinas, and I had kind of worked out that project. It was not on auto drive, but I was working probably 65, 70 hour weeks, which is a big reduction from before.
Yeah.
And so I could do my real estate courses before work, and then also at night. And then, I mean, it was kind of like, hey, just trying to, not business plan, because I didn't even know what a business plan was, but it was like, we need to build out processes of down to like logos and, marketing and branding and website development. I mean, I built our first website. I didn't even know WordPress. I was doing it. And our logo, actually, our current logo came from Fiverr. It was $5. We got 3 additional logos too. And we were looking at branding consultants.
I think that's great.
That's amazing.
I got my Truckin on logo from like 99 Designs or something.
99. So we looked at them too, because my sister was at Northwestern. She was getting her MBA at the time, and she's like, "Hey, we talked to some branding consultant. They said it was going to cost, I think, $50,000 to give us a branding." And so we're like, "Well, show us kind of what you would do." And they sent us like some mock logos, and we're like, "These kind of suck." And we had 9 options from Fiverr, all of which were better. And so I went out to 100 people at EY and said, which one do you like? And our logo got 99 votes out of 100. And it was like a kind of a blind vote. And I love our logo. I think it's really cool. It's like, it's red, white, and blue, which I love. I think it's kind of cool and stuff like that. So, but, it was like we were really kind of bootstrapping it, truly bootstrapping it. And we worked from the living room table. We did our first lease at 17480 North Dallas Parkway. Jim Granberry owned the building at the time. It was 116 square feet. I remember they wanted my dad to personally guarantee it. He goes, I don't let any of my clients personally guarantee leases, so I'm not personally guaranteeing it. I think it was a 10-month lease on 116 square feet. So, it's really exciting. Truly, you kind of try to figure out what you're doing. I had no idea.
Dude, the reason we had a 2-hour breakfast in Vegas is because I was so fascinated by how you operate your business. And that's just like the sign of the beginning of that is the logo, right? Yeah. And fuck this. I'm not spending $50,000 on this. I'm going to go to Fiverr and spend $500. I was making
$50,000 a year at Ernst & Young. I didn't have, when I started the business, I think I was $500 in debt.
And man, I've been the same. I've been the same way when you're doing some things I'd love to talk about on here too. But just kind of you get told something, and instead of just saying, oh, okay, and doing it, it's like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
I say all the time, whatever year it is, it's 2025. When it was 2017, I was like, it's fucking 2017. Why can't we figure out how to do this for $1,000 instead of 10? There's so many options out there to greatly improve sales and improve efficiency without spending that much time or money, really.
100%.
So that's cool. You just got into it and just got started realizing these things that were important to the marketing and look, we're going to have to do these things to really go to the next
Well,
level.
and I think
it's fun, right?
100%. And I think a unique aspect was like, I came from a different perspective on all of this stuff. And my dad had been in the business forever, but like he'd been doing things one way, right? And so I got in and I got to see stuff that I thought worked and hear from different brokers. And I've talked about this a lot in the past, that I think a lot of brokers kind of thought me as like, hey, look, he's someone that's kind of outside perspective that can bounce ideas off of, because the time, dude, we were just running around like, what we kind of do is we run into burning buildings, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a company, or build an airplane as it's in the air. And we talk about that. I have 2 new guys that, they've been elevated to partners with me, and, they'll bitch about some things from time to time. I'm like, look, when you're in the air and you're trying to build the engine to this vessel, like sometimes there's some chaotic moments, and that's what the creativity and good ideas come from it, because you have to figure out solutions pretty quick.
Yeah. So you got started doing that. How many brokers were there when it was just you and your dad when you started?
Yeah, we started from the living room table
to 100 square feet.
Yeah,
116 square feet. And then did you just immediately say, we need to start hiring other brokers, or how long did that?
So so part of my dad and I's partnership agreement was, so he lost his arm when he was 10 years old.
What happened?
He lived in like kind of Midway Hollow area, and they had a crazy house. Like they had alligators in their backyard, horses. They had a monkey in the laundry room. Like they had, I didn't know my grandmother. She passed away before I was born, but like she was supposedly magnetic, but also like kind of a loose cannon. So they had stuff all over the place. Had like 10 dogs and cats, and it was like a zoo over there. But
she would have been a good client for you.
Yeah, exactly.
When you were a kid.
So my dad used to shoot slugs and sell them to the neighborhood kids for a nickel a piece. And, they would go scare some girls or something. I don't really know what it is, because I never really got the full depiction of what the story was. And my aunt, she's still around, she's hilarious. She'll give us bits and pieces on it. But that's what he was doing. So he did it for like years, and he would get in the trees and shoot slugs and then go sell them to the neighborhood kids.
Shoot them with what?
A BB gun.
Yeah.
And he fell out of a tree when he was 10 and fell into what looked like, what I had always heard is he fell into horse manure and he got gangrene in his arm. That's not true. He fell out and he got a compound fracture in both arms. And it seems like there might have been some medical malpractice. I mean, I'm hearing very vague information on this. My dad never wanted to speak about it. So, but it's really my aunt. She'll kind of fill us in. And so he got some infection in his dominant arm, his right arm, and they had to cut it off.
Oh my God.
So he lost it when he was 10, and my grandmother was like really hard on him. So he was in the hospital for a long time, came back out, and she's like, all right, you have yard work. Day one. It's not this new age where it's like, hey, like the guy's probably pretty screwed up. He lost his arm,
That's probably the best thing she could have done.
Yeah, but it gave him really kind of a rough exterior on a lot of that stuff, which is kind of crazy. He's like a professional tennis player for a while. Like he figured it out. I mean, he was a successful real estate broker, did all this stuff, and but the one thing it made him, he was scared of doctors. He never wanted to go there.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, that fast forward to when we started the company, he hadn't been to a doctor in 20 years. And so that was part of our agreement. It was like, hey, look, like I'm giving up what I felt like was a very good career at Ernst & Young. I felt like I could maybe make a part. I don't know. Who knows, right? But I thought there was a pathway there for me to have a career there. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, like you need to go make sure that you have, some life to give on this thing. He's like, okay, yeah, that's good. I'll do a full body scan. So he did it. He was like pushing it back because he was scared of doctors. So 3 months in, he did it, full body scan, stage 4 prostate cancer. Lit up. They said, hey, you have 6 months to live. So at that point, we're like, holy shit, what are we going to do? I remember being like blown away on,
Dude,
you know, I mean, you're losing your dad. He was my business partner, you know, like my career's kind of in limbo, all this stuff. Right. And 3 months in, I don't think I had made a deal. So I was like, I'm not really giving up anything right now. So, so anyways, we started looking. So he called Andy Fulmer, who had been in the business for a long time. They had worked together for 25 years. And he's like, hey, we need to bring Andy in. And that was kind of always, we wanted to go get Andy because Andy, he had really strong kind of landlord leasing experience, and he had been in the business forever, and he's just incredible dude. But one of the portions of it was like, well, he's a broker, you know, so if my dad passed away, like, you know, hypothetically, I could just roll underneath Andy, right? Because you need 4 years or whatever to be a broker. So we hired Andy 6 months in, and so it was just us three. And then, I mean, my dad, like, he started fighting cancer. He lived, they gave him 6 months to live. He lived 6 years. So, which brought our family extremely close, brought my sister back from LA. My other sister, I don't even know, she really lives in San Francisco. She travels more than any person I know, but she's always in, you know, she was always coming back to Dallas. You know, you start valuing time a lot differently. So, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's kind of how the process worked. And then, so we hired Andy. Then I met a guy actually at my closing happy hour at Ernst & Young, and I knew him. His name's Garrett Goldstein. He's still with us. And he's like, hey man, keep me updated. I want to be involved in real estate. But you hear that, you know, all the time. Yeah. The dude wouldn't leave me alone. And so he's like, hey, where are you officing? I'm kind of in the area. I was like, you don't know where I'm officing and you're saying I'm in the area. I was like, well, here it is. He met my dad and he's like, hey, I'm thinking about moving down the street. We're officing at Training Mills in the Tollway. No one that's in their 20s is like, hey, we're going to move there, right? So my dad's like, he's kind of quirky, but I like him. And then he signed a lease in apartments down the street. He's like, hey, when do you want me to come join?
I moved in.
Yeah, he's like, I moved in. He's married, but he brought his girlfriend too. They were living in Uptown. And he's like, come move at Bush and the Tollway. So my dad's like, he's crazy enough to be a broker. Let's bring him in. And then so we've moved from there, and now we have 13 brokers. We have one more. It looks like I have a contract to sign, but one more on the way, and one more, hopefully another one that we're going to go get. So, you know, we've gone kind of a mold of, hey, we're going to go train them up, and then also experienced hires. You know, there's a mixture of that. But we have a really strong training program and then kind of a mentorship program, which is like very structured. And the good thing is like, you know, I'm still in control of this. You know, we have these other guys who are also part of the conversation on it as well. But we can morph and make moves and kind of evolve very quickly. And since I'm still boots on the ground, I see what's working in the market really well. And the good news is, like, I'm working a lot. So people can come to me and we can pivot almost immediately. Which is nice because, like, I don't think that's going to be the case forever, right?
So who developed this training program and the mentorship program, and what does that look like?
Well, so the training program really came about kind of during COVID. You know, we didn't really know what to do on that. And so we had heard that there, like, basically everything that we've ever developed has been based on gaps in the market that we feel. So when you have a burnout rate that's higher, which a majority, you know, there is a big burnout rate in just kind of the real estate realm. We figured it's because it's not, and I read a book called Atomic Habits, which it's all about process. Everything's process, which is like, now I feel like I echo that all the time. And so I was like, if people are going to flame out, we want to make sure that they at least had a structured process to follow, so that if they flame out, it's because they're not following the process, right? And I also wanted to make sure that the process that had worked for me was being emulated because I knew it worked. And so we took that down to the studs and said, all right, how are you going to build that? And so we're actually doing a revamp on all of this right now, but we have kind of a process manual, training manual on how we do everything, like everything in the business. And
like
obviously,
how you do show a building, or how you cold call, what do you say, a script, exactly. All that stuff.
Tour etiquette, tour setup, you know, kind of the process and where you're going to push for an RFP, an LOI, a contract, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And there's like our whole iteration right now is like I have like this obsession because Ready Ice is in our building and they had Ready Ice University. I'm like, we're going to have an RYC University. We're going to do it on a Saturday. Everyone's going to come. It's going to be fun. Everyone's like, that does not sound like fun on a Saturday. I was like, we'll make it fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So
I would think it would be fun if you're putting on.
I have like visions of this stuff, but I get like really hyper focused on a lot of different things. And this is like right now our big thing because I'm streamlining it, going to Trainual, make sure that everything's kind of buttoned up. Because right now it's like I hate when people are like, hey, do you have a good like template for this? I'm like, yeah, I do, but where is it, right? And so now everything's very structured and where you can find it.
Yeah.
So
I did that like right before COVID for our team. Mm-hmm. The exact same thing.
And it's a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah. And that was before ChatGPT.
Oh, God.
Dude. I had a business coach and he was just like, here's what we're going to do. Tell me how you do it every single step.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And I just told him, and he was kind of like human ChatGPT, and he would write it all down and send it to me after our session. Like, yeah. And then I sent it to my admin. I might make some tweaks, and then she put it in a PowerPoint. And like,
sure.
Boom, done.
Yeah.
But man, that's so important. And then you still get asked, how do you do this?
100%. Yeah.
Go listen to the pod. Now I've done it. I did a whole podcast on ours. I just put it out there on like the sales approach, like that manual. And I'm like, go listen to the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Like it's there. It's on YouTube. I have all the slides. And you're asking me a question that I already presented to you, and I put it on a podcast.
Exactly.
And like, go do it.
Fast forward to minute 7 on this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have an answer for everything anyone will say to tell you no.
Yeah.
Like, here's the only things they'll say. And if there's something else, I'd put it in there, but no one's ever told me anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that process is just critical to train people.
100%.
And save your ass the time and just make sure you're not forgetting things to tell people and all those things. And that energy you spent, and Grant Cardone really helped me get there on that and like motivated me to put that together, because he's big on just like, if you're day trading stocks, for instance, even if you're successful, you're spending all of your time and energy thinking about the stock market. He's like, what if you spent that time and energy on your commercial real estate brokerage business?
Yeah.
How much more money would you make than day trading in the stock market?
Yeah.
And like, but the energy of like explaining things to people and training people and like explaining your process versus having ironclad processes, like that's just saves you. I mean, it creates just peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, and it's also one of those things that, as opposed to kind of regurgitating stuff that they can find really quick, you're answering questions, or at least you're having open form conversations on things that could be beneficial down the line to the next person. So you're not going backwards, you're going forwards, and how do you kind of evolve the next process, which I think is very important.
Yep. Will you hit on like how you're using AI?
Oh, yeah.
And like you're outsourcing work overseas and that type of stuff. I was just fascinated by that. And that's really why after we hung out in Vegas, a whole bunch of us like met up at a sports book or something. And that's where I met you the first time. And we started talking. I was like, dude, I think I texted you like the next morning. I woke up and like, I need to hear more about all of this, because it's just, I mean, this kind of stuff is like really exciting to me.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's kind of interesting because, so one of the things that it really kind of even changed since Vegas. So one of the ideas was, hey, like, how are you using AI for basically anything, right? Because that's, you know, it's like the next great frontier on how you're going to do stuff. I've kind of had to change a little bit on some of that. So for example, like I went to some of I was there for the SIOR deal, and there's some kind of, you know, whatever, people that are talking and telling what they're seeing in the market, et cetera. So I use kind of an AI chat or note taker on that stuff. And so I used it for a couple different sessions. Then I dropped it in to my LinkedIn because I had met Bob Knackle at Amelia Island, and he told me that, hey, I think that's something that you need to kind of lean in on more. Because we had talked, we were having a few drinks, and he was like, you know, you're telling me you're kind of a, whatever, we'll call it a independent broker, right? Our firm. But the amount of volume that we do and that I've personally done is more so than just like, hey, just a one-off guy. Like that's not a true assessment of what we are. We can basically compete with anyone from a tenant or a landlord side of business. And so he told me, hey, you need to make sure that people understand the business that you're doing, because if not, they'll just kind of throw you to the side. Well, that means something when it's coming from Bob Knackle, who's a legendary, you know, capital markets guy who's done
New York City. Yeah,
he's done $25 billion in sales personally.
Wow.
He's a monster. And so I started kind of using like the LinkedIn, and we post stuff on deals that we've done and stuff like that. And then really kind of the human element of it. But so I used the AI note taker to basically categorize everything from SIOR Vegas. And I said, put it in my voice, and then put it in so that I can do it. So it consolidated the notes, put it in, it read all my LinkedIn posts and stuff like that, and then put it in, and then I posted it, right? So I thought that was really interesting. I was like, man, this is the way things are going. But since then, I've seen that people are using AI on all their LinkedIn things.
Oh, yeah.
And I go,
I can tell.
This is fucking stupid. I don't want to read these things. This isn't written by them. And so I've like taken a step back.
It's actually devalued LinkedIn.
I agree. And here's where I think
I don't even read messages anymore on LinkedIn. I have like 100 unread messages. I mean, I'll glance if like the CEO of FedEx messages me, I'll answer it. But normally it's these AI sales pitches that have increased by 1,000 or 10,000 since AI was invented. And it's just all bullshit. And I know what they're doing. They're paying for some AI service to write some AI email and send it to everybody on LinkedIn.
Exactly.
And like, I just don't even use LinkedIn that much other than have AI post my podcast, which is real. Yeah. Like we're going to have a video of us talking right now. Sure. And I want to have a clip of this, by the way. Like this is real and it's not AI. And then people will look at that. But yeah, when I see an AI post, like I can tell pretty quickly.
You see it like on the kind of emojis and all that stuff. But I've had like this kind of thought process on it. I think that the more, and that's obviously going to continue to integrate with society, the more that happens, the more hand-to-hand combat, skin-to-skin, in person is going to be immensely more valuable.
Oh, yeah.
Which for our business, for like the guys at our company, guys and gal at our company, is going to be a differentiator. I want people to lean into that because I want people to see through it like I've seen through it in the last 45 days that goes, this isn't authentic. And people want to do business with people that they believe, you know, they're authentic and they know that they have their best interests in mind, et cetera. I mean, I think there's an element where that works, but even since Vegas that time, I was like, man, something just kind of hit me wrong, I guess. And I was like, I don't even want to look at these posts. And I mean, LinkedIn, I don't have any social media. So, LinkedIn's got kind of my, quasi drug on that stuff. Like, I'm going to get my dopamine hit from looking at LinkedIn posts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of changed, but, how we're using AI, I use some different tools that basically filter out on my inbox anything that I probably shouldn't see. So it opens up and it gives me more clarity from my inbox perspective, which allows, even just looking at emails and deleting them, like you're having to make a decision. That's something that I think Warren Buffett talks about, is like you only have so many decisions you can make in a day.
Yeah.
And so like even though they're snap judgments, that I just don't need to have those. I use it for note taking on basically every single Teams or Zoom call. So like today I was on a TI call with George, and I had to escape because I was coming over here. Well, I'm going to go read the notes as far as what it is. And it's kind of interesting because like the architects are talking about, the open items that are on that. Right. And they're like, all right, well, here's a summary on it. I was like, you don't need to give a summary. I'll just email it to you guys later. So I do that a lot. We use a lot of VA support overseas for marketing LinkedIn posts, which they're using AI, which we're having a discussion about that. Email filtration when marketing comes, and tracking. So a lot of this stuff.
And like also, I think you mentioned like the marketing activity reports and things like
100%.
that. Like they are.
100%.
And they can field calls on and give.
Well, they'll feed emails. We want to be the one that's talking to
emails.
them.
Yeah.
So basically, and this is like where I feel like there's a massive gap in the market. So from a landlord side of things, if you're a broker and you're trying to go, lease 100,000 feet in Northwest Dallas, right? Right now, I think there's like, I don't know, a few have fallen off, but say there's 8 options, and it's 3:00 today, right? And you have to tour tomorrow at 9 a.m. So you're going to go reach out, email, text, call, whatever it is, all 8 options, say, hey, look, sorry, last second requirement, I got to go. This is a fast moving deal. So you reach out to all 8. Well, a lot of people, they'll be in the field or they'll be on calls or whatever. Then they'll go home, they'll eat dinner, and then they'll reply to you at 9:00, right? Here's the information. Well, Ward, you have your tour book done because you have tours at 9 a.m.
If you didn't call back, you're not getting on the tour.
You're not on the list.
That's right.
You are not on the list. So your 8 options went to 3. Well, one of those 3 is going to be selected. We'll just say generally. That's how it works. Well, so how we have it is, all right, we're getting the information out immediately. We've got
your OPEX. So that's what everybody asks,
exactly.
right? Like, what's written OPEX?
Yeah, written OPEX. You get it. It's on the list. I'll call you. Hey, anything we can do, we'd love to get you for a tour, right? Well, then it generates on the back end from kind of the tracking standpoint. So we're freeing up our broker's time to do it, and then we're also getting on the tour list immediately. And that's where I think a lot of our stuff stays pretty leased up, is because we're jumping in front of the deal immediately. People that don't do that, they're not on the tour list. I mean, it, like it's the stuff that you're looking at when you're trying to set up tours, and sometimes it's last minute, sometimes it's 2 weeks out. It's just kind of a different game.
I've always said, like, the secret to commercial real estate brokerage is to return phone calls and emails.
Yeah.
But like fucking fast.
Yeah.
I mean, like the faster people respond to me in business and life in general, like I like communicating with those people.
Yeah.
When people ghost me, like I have friends that won't text me back for 2 days or something, like it's just annoying.
Yeah.
And then I forget about things.
Yeah.
And then I work deals in 50 markets consistently every year. And we have multiple deals going on in all these different cities. So identifying my partners there, who now many of them I've been working with for a long time, but they're the type of people that email me right back and text. And if I'm talking to a client real time, I text them, they're texting me right back. And that's just kind of That's like value right there, is speed of information delivery, of information that can't be found anywhere else but in these market experts' heads.
Exactly. And I think a lot of that, it boils down to kind of a sign of respect. And, I mean, everyone gets bogged down on the information and, whatever it is, like calls and emails and texts and all this stuff. And it was something my dad really instilled in me early on, is like, hey, 24-hour rule. You have to get back within 24 hours. It doesn't matter when it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's so stupid. 24 hours, like, that's a long time. It is crazy how often that falls on the wayside on the other end of things. So you want to get back as quickly as possible. And it's also getting it off your plate, which gives you more headspace to kind of free up on the next deal.
You're not sitting there thinking during dinner with your family, I got to send all these emails later today.
Exactly. And that's like our big push, is like, how do you get that all automated to the process where literally all you're doing is like, you're just calling the broker. Hey, I would love to try to find an opportunity to work with you guys on this deal.
That's just the secret, I think, to not getting burned out and being great at business, is identifying what am I good at and what do I like to do, and then outsource the rest. Hire a human being if it requires a human being, or outsource to overseas if you just need someone who's returning emails and they don't have to be there in flesh, or AI. Yeah. If that makes sense, like these things. But then when I am like in the zone doing the things I'm really good at doing and enjoy doing, it doesn't feel like work, really.
Exactly.
It's just awesome. Yeah.
We hired someone about 2 years ago, and I remember being like, man, there's gonna be a cost to this, right? And I remember I was talking to my mentor. His name's Pat Haggerty. He's been in the business, I think, 53 years or 54 years. And he's like, do it because it's going to help clear up your calendar, all this stuff, right? Well, what I've noticed is it actually makes me busier because I can do stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
When you're doing all the back end's kind of working on it, and you build the process that allows you to go do what you like to do and what you're really good at, well, you're going to get busier, because if you like to do it, you're going to do more of it. And if you're good at it, you're going to win more business. And so like, that's how I figured that things have kind of compounded. But to your point, it's, you just got to throw resources at it in some capacity. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think probably not taking myself so seriously.
Everybody's Ryan Keithley just said to be serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I get that too.
Yeah.
And I was really reflecting on it, because so many people say don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it is the balance, right?
Everything's the balance, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, early on, like, I guess, like, from a professional standpoint, I felt like everything was life or death. And it's not. I mean, there's bigger aspects and there's bigger things that are happening outside of your control that you kind of just let it happen. You want to force action on basically anything that you're doing in life, but, like, let it kind of fall in place on the back end.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people lose touch of that. Like Corbin Blunt, very good friend of mine. We were talking on Monday, and we were talking about like the Camp Mystic stuff. It's crazy stuff. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's like, does this additional deal, an additional bay for this person really affect life as much as like what these people are going through? Obviously no, right? But sometimes you have to take a step back and have a little more perspective on what's going on. And it makes you appreciate what you have, or what what you're trying to achieve. So I've always felt like, especially since I've graduated from college, like I just took everything. It's like, everything's a slight, everything's this, what, you don't need to be that way anymore. Just kind of rock and roll and let things happen the way they need to.
Yeah. Do you feel like you live a balanced life?
I do. I think that you can always find more balance on it.
Yeah. Do you consciously like seek that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to find, like, I found early on, like, I used to burn out because I was coming from EY, and then I was going into real estate, and I was working 100-hour weeks because that's what I was used to. And I noticed that I would get sick once a quarter for like 5 days, like deathly ill. And it was just literally my body was breaking down. So you have to kind of figure out where that middle place is. But I have a 4-year-old and my daughter turns 3 in 2 weeks. Like, I want to be home for them for dinner and bedtime. And, so you have to make priorities. So these happy hours that are every night, or these dinners and stuff like that, would I like to go to them? Probably not, honestly, but some of them, sure, right? And you have to be selective on which ones you go to. Which
are like needs is what I look at too,
exactly.
A lot of the times.
It's yeah, and when you do that, it's not as you're like, hey, look, I'm giving up my time with my family. That's the big thing, right? Is how do you balance the family and the work? Because I mean, I love what we do. I mean, it is a drug of all drugs for me. I enjoy it. I feel like I'm very good at it. I'm helping people. I really put myself in my customer's shoes. Like, how can I do that? And I think that's really good because I'm in a fortunate position financially because of what I've done, that I really don't need any deal ever, right? And so when you feel that way, you're really, truly like putting yourself in their best position. It's our fiduciary duty, but early on, you're like, just
sign the lease.
Please sign, right? I mean, I talk so many people out of deals because I'm like, hey, I really don't think this is the right move for you. But when they do that and they know that you're truly looking out for their best interest, they typically listen to your advice. So I think that's an issue for me, is like, hey, what is something that I like to do? Well, I like to work. I think it's fun. I think it's a great time. Our culture at our company is awesome. Like, you go in, it's energetic. You should come by the office. It's like music's playing. I pumped oxygen in during our build outs.
Really?
Like the Vegas Oxmost or whatever it is. We have massage chairs, shooting basketballs. Like, it's fun in there. And so it's contagious.
Do you give each other massages?
No, we have like the massage chairs. I have a client that does
the chairs.
So we have in the corner. People are playing hockey and stuff. So it's a fun environment. So finding that balance is difficult because it's 6:00 and the guys are going to work out. Well, they don't have a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old at home that want to see them. So like, that's always a balance. Do
you have a cold plunge at the office?
Not yet. We're trying to buy a building, and that would be part of it. We'd have kind of a therapy area.
You can do the hot rock sauna at the office because then you don't have to worry about your kids.
We have a sauna at the office.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we have we're in the Ready Ice building, and has a full gym and has a sauna. It's an infrared though. So I love that kind of the wooden sauna. I think that thing's awesome. I wanted the exact same one at our house. But we got the infrared. So.
Yeah. And when did you start cold plunging?
It's been over 2 years now. I don't even know how it got started. But so I forgot who thought that I should do it. But man, I can't live without it. I mean, I think in the last 2 years when I've been in Dallas, I missed one day. And I think I was like deathly ill or something like that. And I wanted to get in. I was talking to my buddies. I have some buddies that own a spa in Oklahoma. He's like, dude, I don't think it's probably good for your immune system to do it. But I love it. I do it every morning, right when I wake up. Typically listen to Jelly Roll Need a Favor. It's 3 minutes and 19 seconds.
Same song every day. Yeah, I love that.
The same song. And I'm like addicted. I clean it. I'm really into it. And I know, like, even if I have a tour and there's kind of a gap in the tour and I'm feeling sluggish, I'll go home, hop in there, and then go take a shower and get back on the road. But I'm pretty religious on that. And then I do the sauna at night, and I'll take calls after the kids are asleep.
I love doing that stuff, man. Yeah, I've been doing it for probably like 3 years. and it's life-changing. I went to a retreat, and they'd had it there, and we did it every morning.
Oh,
Wake
really?
up and start the day. It was a fasting retreat, so we were not eating for a week, and sauna cold plunge every morning. And when I got back, I joined the Crescent because that was the only gym near East Dallas that I could find that had both.
Yeah.
And they have fantastic ones there. If I were to be like traveling to Dallas on business travel or any travel, I'd stay at the Crescent so I could go use that.
There you go.
And then eventually I was like, got tired of driving to Uptown.
Yeah.
And I wanted it in my house. And it's the best investment I've ever made. And my cold plunge broke on the move. So I just yesterday got this chiller installed on my hot tub, here at the house, and it can go to 40, which is fine. Like, I don't need to do like cold. 35 degrees or something. I'm really cool. I think I'd keep my old one at 44. Like that does the trick for me.
Yeah.
But I like to do the sauna, then get in the cold.
I tell, and this is probably not something that I should talk about on a podcast, but when I do this, I'll do that on a Saturday because our kids still take naps. I'll do it. I'll do the kind of the heat and the cold exposure. And then my wife has to run away from me. It does something to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just did my annual physical, and like I used to be on testosterone, so I was taking that, and I just got off. I was on all kinds of like peptides and this and that, and I just decided I want to go clean.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, but I'd skipped my physical last year, but I did get a colonoscopy, so I felt proud of myself for that. But I had been off of testosterone for a couple of years, and I just got the report back, and it's obviously lower than when you're jacking testosterone into you every week. But I think the sauna cold plunge, because I was like, maybe like on paper, like when I'm getting my blood drawn for this physical, the testosterone, it's not like it's low, but it's just like lower than it was. But that shit like makes me feel good, and if I'm and like I have no problem with my libido is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Like it's just like I don't need any more testosterone. I'm not a UFC fighter or something.
Exactly.
Like, the last thing actually I probably need is more testosterone. That's been true.
I think
forever.
I think it is both of those though. I mean it does, like, there's documented studies that it does.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Exactly, dude. The first time it happened, I like look around, and I had like this red look in my eye, and my wife's like, "What is going on?" So when I turn
it's
it
like
on,
cold plunge only.
Exactly. So
Hilarious.
she's gonna be pissed. I talked about that.
She's a listener. What's her name?
Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. We're going to keep Rich and just keep those separate.
Yeah.
Until it's time for number 3. Dude, what a great conversation. And have you ever had a mystical experience?
Yeah. I you sent those questions over, and I was kind of thinking about that. I've heard it on the podcast, and so my dad, when he fell, it was like kind of and he fell on a Monday morning, and he passed away that Friday, and we didn't think anything was wrong. Like, he just kind of went to the hospital, and then things just kind of went, out of whack.
He fell like because he was feeling weak, or
he fell. He was like, he was in the shower and he fell, and like then the ambulance came and took him. And so we went up to the hospital. I mean, I was basically at the hospital all week. And I grew up, I don't know, like I grew up in a Methodist church, but like, I mean, I'm not like uber religious. And I remember I went into the chapel at the hospital, and I don't know, there's like something that came over me that was like, hey, this is a good time. It seems like it's a good time to kind of part ways. And I don't know. I don't know if that necessarily leads to mystical experience, but I felt like it drew me closer with God or whatever higher being is. And maybe at that point, and there's a guy, do you know who JC Wood is with Prologis? He's doing data center stuff now, but he was trying to buy buildings, and I remember it was kind of weird. Like, JC and I have always had like a good relationship, but nothing more than that. We went to breakfast, and I thought he was like, hey, go find me buildings to buy, like what a lot of these groups will do. And we talked about it, and he goes, hey, have you ever thought that your dad getting cancer led, like basically everything in your life had kind of led up to you saying, hey, Dad, you need to go to the doctor because this was our agreement, right? Because if not, he would have died. I mean, he would have died 6 months.
Because he wouldn't have been fighting it that whole time.
He wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. They said that he had cancer for probably 15 years.
Wow.
I mean, prostate cancer is kind of what you want to get if you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Right. So, he goes, I had sold a project or helped sell a project at EY. It led me to kind of not being unhappy, but like looking for other solutions, which led me to real estate, which led me to my dad and I starting our company together, which pushed me for him to go get,
Dude.
So I remember.
I thought it was so interesting. That's one of the first things you told me when we met and we started talking about your business about, I had my dad get a health screening because I was thinking what a kind of odd thing to think of when how old were you?
I was 26.
26 years old. Yeah. It seems like it would have not been on my mind at that age. But that is a miracle, man. And that's a mystical thing in and of itself. It's so true. And you got to spend those 6 years.
Yeah, but it was six quality years.
Yeah.
When you don't know the end is near, you kind of think it's going to last forever, right? When you know it is, or it could be any day, you cherish that time, right? And that's like every aspect of life, right? So,
that's just such a lesson to
100%.
Don't let it get there. Just with kids, man, that's something I pray about every day, and is help me to be present with my children
100%,
and not just take this time for granted.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I'm going through that right now because it's my wife sends me videos. She has the time hop thing on her photos, and she sent me this video of my son. It was his first showers 2 years ago. I was like, he doesn't even look the same, he's not the same. And he was 2.5, now he's 4.5. I was like, where did this go? I remember putting him in the shower, and he's like, Daddy, leave. I got this. And he's in the shower. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's your son, clearly.
Yeah, he is. He is.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Moving on to the second portion of this, what is your favorite restaurant?
I will say this kind of, it's not a popular, because everyone talks about these nice restaurants they like to go. My favorite restaurant is Chuck E. Cheese.
Really?
So I take my kids to Chuck E. Cheese.
Pizza's actually kind of,
it's okay.
I just kind of like it. I like a McDonald's cheeseburger sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not necessarily the food aspect, but my wife hates Chuck E. Cheese. So she never goes, and I take both of my kids.
That's a normal thing.
Yeah. We go to Chuck E. Cheese 2 to 3 times a month.
I mean, it's a normal thing to not enjoy going to Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah,
exactly. Actually, so we go 2 or 3 times a month. My best friend, I've changed his photo on my phone to the Chuck E. Cheese rat. And so my kids always want to go. And so if I need them to go take a nap or take a bath or something, I'm like, all right, I guess I got to call Chucky on this. And so he'll call. He's my best friend. I've been best friends with him since birth. My sisters are friends with his sisters and stuff. And he's like, "Whoa, hey, is this Trip and McKenzie?" And so I think that that's my favorite restaurant because we go and we'll get pizza and Dippin' Dots, the ice cream of the future. And we'll hang out, and it's just kind of like our time together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the food overall kind of sucks. Like everyone they say Chuck E. Cheese pizza is cool. Well, you probably haven't had much Chuck E. Cheese pizza. I've had a lot of Chuck E. Cheese pizza. So, other than that, like we love sushi. So like, there's a spot at Preston and LBJ called Yujo. It's like my new spot.
Really, I haven't been there. I love sushi.
It's they have omakase there, and then they have kind of a small restaurant, but. It's funny, you look at a Chili's across the street, but it's kind of like a Michelin recommended kind of deal.
Really?
So, yeah,
it's check that out.
It's a pretty good spot.
Right on. Are you a reader?
Yeah, I joke and say, well, I'm in real estate, so I don't know how to read, right? But yeah, I read every night. I think that because that's one of your questions, like favorite book, right?
Yeah, like what book would you recommend? That's top of mind right now.
Yeah, so for years I basically I read about like the blue light stuff. It's horrible for you when you're going to sleep, and it ruins your sleep patterns. So I read every night. I'll have like the Kindle out, and I'll read like 3 pages, and I'll pass out. But I've read basically every John Grisham book.
Oh, I love John Grisham.
And The King of Torts is my favorite book.
Yeah,
it's by far
that's an awesome book.
I think that he's like an incredible writer, but he can't ever end a book. I've noticed that. Like all of his books, it's like, he has whatever 500 pages in the last 2 pages, and he's like, and they went off, and you never saw them again. And I was like, what are we doing here, bud?
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go revisit that.
Yeah, I love that. And like, the self-help books, like Atomic Habits really changed a lot of like what I think about things. I like Outliers. I think that's really interesting. But I don't read a lot. I couldn't read those at, 10 o'clock at night because I already fall asleep after like 30 seconds anyway. So
I'm doing 75 hard right now.
Yeah.
And I used to audiobook. Like I fell into audiobooking really hard the last many years. And now have to read for 75 hard, like from an actual book. So I do it first thing now. Like right when I wake up, I come out here, sit in that chair and read my 10 pages. And I'm normally like 10 pages is a lot. Like I'm good and I'm done. Did you know Robert Fulford? Mm-hmm. He used to be in Dallas and be a real estate broker, and he moved to Wisconsin, but we were friends. And he wrote a book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can see that big ass notebook like spiral over there.
Yeah.
He sent me a copy of his book, and I'm reading it, and I read like 30 pages a day of his book.
Oh, really?
It's really good. It's just cool when a friend writes a book, and it's a memoir. It's about his life, and it's just really, really fascinating. So I'm going to try to get him on the podcast, but it's just fun to read. And I wrote a very similar type, my life story during COVID. I wrote it all down, and this reminded me a lot of that. Right. And I think it's so cool. Like I want to see like more books out there of just like, it's kind of like this podcast. I'm fascinated just in general by like kind of like people I know, but like I want to hear like real, like what's your story? And like these stories are cool. That's why I do this podcast. Like I like to hear this. Like it's fascinating to me, but there needs to be like a whole genre of just like normal dudes that write memoirs about their life and tell the fucking truth. Yeah. And like that will be, it doesn't matter who you are. Like it'll be fascinating if you do that.
My senior year of high school, we had to do a book report on a memoir. And I was just like a little shithead. And everyone's doing like Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky memoirs on theirs. And I went to Barnes & Noble and I got Candy Girl, Untold Stories of an Unknown Stripper. And it was like a memoir about her life.
I bet it was awesome.
I'm telling you, I hate strip clubs because of this book. Like I was a senior in high school. It's like changed my perspective on these people forever. And I remember I was like trying to kind of sell it to the teacher. You know, you're talking about a stripper. I was like, no, this is an evolution of a woman.
What's it called?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's Candy Girl: Untold Stories of an Unknown Stripper.
We have lots of Truckin' On listeners out there who struggle with going to strip clubs.
Read this book. You
Rich Young Jr. would like to highly recommend this book to break you of your nasty habits. Do you have a favorite quote?
I think my favorite quote right now is fight like you're the third monkey that's waiting to get on Noah's Ark, and brother, it just started raining. That's my favorite quote right now.
That's good. Third monkey philosophy.
Yeah.
Is there a cause that you're passionate about?
Well, so my aunt was, so we support the Yoros Gala, which is MS research. MS is,
how do you spell it?
Yellow Rose Gala.
Yellow Rose Gala. Okay.
So my cousins still run it, and so my aunt started it. It used to be a big gala back in the day, and it's still a pretty big gala. And so it's for MS research. MS is just like such a horrible disease. And then my wife just recently, she's a member of CASA, so she's doing that stuff right now, which is, I think we're going to be financially tied, but also time tied to them. So
CASA, the church?
No,
thing?
CASA is like, I think it's, I mean, she's trying to explain it to me. She just got not ordained, but like sworn in. And so she looks after basically foster kids and make sure that like they're being treated properly and that they're going and being reintroduced into society. You know, just make sure that people are around them.
It's like being a volunteer.
Yeah, she's a volunteer.
But like instead of like a state person to go oversee that these kids are doing okay, it's like someone who's like doing this with their own time because they're like really want to make sure.
Yeah.
Not that the state employees aren't making sure.
And I think that the state employees are kind of overseeing the process and making sure that people are being trained properly. And she just had her first case, and she said the kids are awesome, but it's a sad deal that there's so many of these people that have been misplaced, and you know, a lot of them, it seems like it's drug related or, you know, whatever. The dad's out of the picture, the mom's out of the picture. And so, you know, she's diving head first into it. And I think that it's awesome for her.
That's amazing. We'll have to get her on the pod if she ever wants to get on here.
Sure. Once she gets some tough cases, then she'd be good to
I mean, I think that's just something that I personally don't think about too often.
No.
Because out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And
it's not something people want to dwell on. You know, it's scary because it's real. And when you start looking at it, you're like, man, these people just have had a bad shake in life. So
how'd she get into that?
She just retired. She worked at Pioneer Natural Resources, Exxon Bottom, and she had worked there for 12 years. And she was really kind of like my sugar mama when I got into business. She's like, hey, you can come sleep at my place, like not pay rent and all this stuff. And so I can be your sugar daddy now that we've been together for a decade. But she got really passionate about kind of like the child, you know, around like what's going on the child trafficking side of things. And she's like, you know, because our big thing, like, I hate when people bitch about things and they're not just willing to kind of do something about it. Like that's like George, you know, how he is, like that dude will go and kind of try to make change, you know, like that's what he wants. And it's been very eye-opening for me because like I have never really cared either direction on stuff. But when people want change on stuff and they'll do something about it, I think it's admirable. So my wife started, you know, she started looking into a lot of that stuff, and she's like, how can I get involved? And so I think it's really cool what she's doing, and I don't know, we'll see. I mean, she just started it a couple months ago, and she already has her first case. So
That's cool. How do people track you down? LinkedIn?
website.
What's your website?
www.richyoungcompany.com.
Who designed the current version of the website?
A good friend of mine owns a big ad agency. He's a great dude. You should have him on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the company called? Do you remember?
Well, so it used to be Khalees Partners, and then they bought Imaginuity, and then kind of rebranded to that. But
That's a good name.
yeah, he's an awesome dude. He's in the Bahamas right now, but he'd be. I'd honestly like to hear it just because I like to hear his story.
He lives in the Bahamas?
No, he lives in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lives
Connect us.
Yeah.
I'd love to get him on here.
Yeah.
We'll go
He'd
grab
be an interesting
lunch or something. And
He'd be an
get him
interesting
on.
because I think he had a pretty similar kind of like he grew up in my area, and we were buddies. Actually, went to church with him, and man, he's kind of evolved a number of different times, and great guy.
That's awesome. Well, Rich, my brother, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's fun.
I'll have to have you back again one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for trucking on. Peace.